My journey with love began like a storybook. I believed in the one, the soulmate, the single person who would complete my world. Monogamy was not just a choice, it was the only path I knew. I walked it with devotion, pouring my heart into relationships that promised forever. I gave everything I had, believing that my loyalty and dedication would be enough to build a lasting fortress. Yet, again and again, I found myself standing in the ruins of those same fortresses. The promises felt hollow, the commitment felt one-sided. I started to question the very foundation I was building on. Was this structure meant to last, or was it designed to crumble? The exhaustion was more than just emotional. It was a deep physical weariness. I remember countless nights spent staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I was replaying conversations, searching for clues I might have missed. I was trying to understand where the connection had fractured. The constant effort to maintain a perfect, exclusive bond became a heavy burden. It felt like I was holding my breath, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. This cycle of hope, investment, and inevitable disappointment became a familiar, painful rhythm. I was tired of the performance, tired of pretending that this model of love was fulfilling when it was slowly draining the life from me. Each failed relationship left a deeper scar. I recall the sharp, visceral pain of discovering a lie. It was not just the act of infidelity itself, but the intricate web of deception that surrounded it. The secret messages, the hidden meetings, the carefully constructed alibis. These betrayals made me question my own sanity. I started to doubt my perceptions and my worth. The person who had promised to protect my heart was the very one who was shattering it into 1,000 pieces. The emotional abuse that often accompanied the cheating was subtle but devastating. It was a slow erosion of my self-esteem, leaving me feeling small, insecure, and utterly alone in a partnership that was supposed to be a team of two. The pain was not just in my head, it began to manifest in my body. The constant stress led to sleepless nights which turned into chronic fatigue. I developed anxiety that would seize my chest, making it hard to breathe. My doctor told me my cortisol levels were dangerously high. My body was keeping score of every heartbreak, every lie, every moment of silent suffering. I was living in a state of perpetual fight or flight, trapped in a relational model that was making me physically sick. It became clear that something had to change. I could not continue sacrificing my health and well-being on the altar of a romantic ideal that was proving to be a beautiful but destructive myth. I began to look at monogamy with new eyes. I saw it not as a sacred pact, but as a rigid container that often breeds toxicity. The expectation of being someone's everything is an immense pressure. It creates an environment where needs are hidden, desires are suppressed, and resentment quietly grows. In my experience, this pressure often led to infidelity. It was not always about a lack of love, but about a lack of freedom. The secrecy was the most damaging part. It was the lie, not the desire for another person, that constituted the ultimate betrayal. The structure itself seemed to encourage dishonesty by making honest communication about complex desires feel impossible and taboo. The possessiveness inherent in traditional monogamy felt deeply immature. It was a love based on ownership, not on genuine connection. The jealousy, the constant monitoring, the suspicion, it all stemmed from a place of insecurity. I was tired of feeling like a possession and tired of feeling the urge to possess someone else in return. This model of love felt like a cage. It clipped our wings and then demanded to know why we could no longer fly. True love, I started to believe, should be about empowering each other to grow, not about limiting each other's experiences. The monogamous ideal I had been sold felt more like a contract of control than a covenant of love. My personal experiences painted a clear picture. The emotional abuse was often cloaked in the language of love and protection. "I'm only jealous because I love you so much," was a common refrain. This possessiveness was framed as romantic, but it was actually a tool for control. It created a dynamic where I was afraid to be my full self, to have my own friends, or to enjoy my own interests. I was walking on eggshells, constantly managing my partner's insecurities. This was not the partnership I dreamed of. It was a power struggle disguised as romance. And I was consistently on the losing end, sacrificing pieces of myself to maintain a fragile peace. This critique is not to say that monogamy works for no one. For some, it is a beautiful and fulfilling path. However, for me, it has been a source of profound pain and disillusionment. The societal pressure to conform to this one-size-fits-all model is immense. We are taught from a young age that this is the only legitimate way to love. But what if it is not? What if the system itself is flawed? I realized that my recurring heartbreaks were not just a string of bad luck or poor choices, they were symptoms of a larger problem. The model itself was failing me, and it was time to stop blaming myself and start questioning the rules of the game. My exploration led me to polygamy, or more specifically, polyamory, the practice of consensual, ethical, and honest non-monogamy. At first, the idea was daunting. It challenged everything I had been taught about love and commitment, but the more I learned, the more it resonated with me. The core tenets were radical honesty, open communication, and deep respect for all individuals involved. This was not about cheating or deception. It was about creating a relationship structure that allowed for multiple loving connections with the full knowledge and consent of everyone. It was about moving from a model of ownership to a model of shared connection and trust. What I find so mature about this approach is the level of communication it demands. In my monogamous past, difficult conversations were avoided. In polyamory, they are essential. You must be able to talk about jealousy, insecurity, time management, and boundaries in a way that is both direct and compassionate. It requires a high degree of emotional intelligence and self-awareness. This is not a way to avoid commitment. It is a way to practice a deeper, more intentional form of it. It is a commitment to honesty, to growth, and to the well-being of not just one partner, but of a whole network of loved ones. The idea that one person must meet all of our needs, romantic, emotional, intellectual, and social, is an impossible standard. Consensual, non-monogamy acknowledges this. It allows for a network of support and affection. One partner might share my love for quiet nights and deep conversation, while another might share my passion for travel and adventure. This does not diminish the love I have for either of them. Instead, it enriches my life and allows me to be a more whole and fulfilled person. It relieves the pressure on any single relationship to be everything, allowing each connection to be exactly what it is, appreciated for its unique qualities, without the burden of unrealistic expectations. This is a path of radical consent. Every step, every new connection, every change in the dynamic is discussed openly. There are no secrets, no hidden agendas. This stands in stark contrast to the infidelity that plagued my monogamous relationships. The pain of my past came from the lies. In this new model, honesty is the bedrock. It is a conscious and deliberate choice to build relationships on a foundation of trust and transparency. It is about choosing to love freely and openly, without the cages of possession and jealousy. It is for me a far healthier and more sustainable way to build a life filled with love. Here in the Philippines, our laws and societal norms are deeply rooted in a singular vision of love and family. The family code only recognizes a monogamous union between a man and a woman. This legal framework not only excludes same-sex couples, but also renders invisible those of us who have found love and stability in multi-partner relationships. We are forced to live in the shadows, our families denied the legal protections and social recognition that others take for granted. This must change. Our laws should reflect the diverse ways in which people form loving, committed families. It is time for a conversation about legalizing polygamy. A call for legal recognition is a call for human rights. It is about allowing consenting adults the freedom to define their own family structures without fear of legal or social persecution. Legalizing polygamy would provide protections regarding inheritance, child custody, and healthcare decisions. It would legitimize the families that already exist and offer them the same stability and security afforded to monogamous couples. This is not a threat to the institution of marriage. It is an expansion of it. It is an acknowledgement that love is not a limited resource and that commitment can take many forms. Our society can be both traditional and progressive, holding space for all who love with consent and integrity. Today, on this day, September 3rd, 2025, I'm leaving the ghosts of my monogamous past behind. I am no longer the person who shrinks herself to fit into a box that was never meant for her. I'm no longer willing to trade my well-being for a fairy tale that brought me more nightmares than dreams. I release the pain of betrayal and the weight of expectation. I forgive myself for believing that my worth was tied to my ability to be someone's one and only. My journey through the wreckage of monogamy was not a failure. It was a painful but necessary education. It taught me what I do not want and ultimately what I truly need. I declare my choice for a different path. I choose a love that is built on honesty, not on illusion. I choose a love that empowers, not possesses. I choose a love that is expansive, not restrictive. I choose polygamy, not as an escape, but as a conscious and deliberate act of self-love and empowerment. I am building a new house, a new home for my heart with many rooms and open doors. This is my truth. This is my freedom. The storybook is closed, and now, I am finally writing my own story with a pen filled with honesty and a heart that is, for the first time, truly open.